What is up, guys? Been thinking a lot about this topic today. It's going to be about three keys or three characteristics, basically three qualities that I think are very powerful to possess and to really work on. Three key characteristics or skills, really, that I think that you can exercise and improve. For that, you touch base on it's Thursday night here, right before Good Friday. Gonna be off tomorrow, so gonna have a nice chill night. I got a nice climb in, and now that I'm back in South Carolina, was able to go right down to the climbing gym. Bunch of new climbs up, probably 2-3 walls. They replaced the entire comp wall finally. And recently they had put up a couple walls that have a bunch of challenging problems on them, really, and problems that I haven't been able to solve. Boulders that I haven't been able to finish. And really, like I said, challenging myself in that V3, V4 range. A lot of the V2, V3s, a lot of the stuff I've been climbing basically in my range is very easy for me. A couple of them can be challenging, like can't quite get, so I still need to attack those. But I had sent a handful of V3, V4s, and I really just wanted to continue doing that. Now that's gonna put me into the projecting realm. So I need to actually stay dedicated to working on some of these things. Now tonight I was actually able to send two of the climbs placed probably a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. And I felt really good about it. The first couple sends or the first couple attempts did not go very well necessarily, but thinking through the problem, like I said. So I think I've been just kind of trying to overpower stuff and kind of just quitting thinking like I'm not strong enough. And really, and one of the key factors tonight is kind of resilience in those difficult conditions or against those challenges, kind of continuing to push and bounce back and continuing to work through them. And so I was able to send one that had some pretty tricky slopers, required a little bit of a weird body position. I can't wait to do it a couple more times and really figure out a solid beta, because I don't think I had one. And then there's another kind of slabby problem over that really just leaves you off balance, has a terrible handhold in it. And for some reason, I was just like struggling with this handhold. I couldn't quite figure it out. And ultimately, it's just like, handhold's terrible. Probably got to weight my foot more. So just using kind of the holds to stick to the wall, really weighting my foot over and being able to reach up to the higher hold, sent the problem, sent the top. Piece of cake. So those were both kind of really good wins and really had me shake off kind of some of the doubts that I maybe had in my mind, or the fact that I was probably giving up a little too early. And so I'm really pumped to get back in there later this week. It's going to be fantastic. Now dive into what I'm going to call the 3 R's. I think these are ideal things to try to be, traits, characteristics to develop. And let's start with relentless. I think that you want to be in constant pursuit of your interests and constant pursuit of your goals, your personal development goals. This is something that doesn't really take a break, in my opinion. It's something where you make daily progress. And yes, every now and then, taking a day off, I think it's beneficial. And you know, even if it's 10% of the days throughout a year, that's like 30 days, right? So it's a little bit more than that if you're getting specific, but we're being loose here. So thinking about that across the time of a year, or in a month, you get 3 days you could take to yourself, but every other day, if you're just grinding away, 90% of your time, you are in pursuit of what it is you're after, right? And I think that being relentless is solving problems, at the problems in front of you, or the problems of your life, never quitting at that, despite any challenges that might come up, which leads directly into resilience. This is the ability to withstand difficult conditions. And so life can be pretty challenging, right? There's a lot of stuff that's outside of our control that can come up and get in your way. Other people can get in your way. Circumstances can get in your way. Mother Nature can get in your way. Accidents happen, all sorts of stuff, right? Death, unfortunate things that do happen. And your ability to bounce back in those situations and to remain relentless, like point number 1. Right? I think it's a very powerful thing. And so understanding that every time you have a difficult situation arise, that's an opportunity to practice resilience. That's a virtue that you can exercise. Taking a page out of Stoicism almost with the virtue aspect. I think it's incredibly powerful to be resilient, because then despite anything that could happen that's negative, you have the ability to push through it. And you have the ability to hold fast. Hold fast, something that I write on my board. I like to put it in a lot of different places, because what it means is to weather the storm, right? That every storm is temporary and you will come out the other side. You just have to withstand it. So I think first, be relentless. Second, be resilient. So despite any of those difficult conditions that might arise as you're being relentless, you have the ability to withstand them. Lastly, one of my absolute favorites, resourcefulness. I think resourcefulness is one of the most powerful things you can develop, is an ability to not get stuck in one mind of thinking on problem solving or developing one solution. It's understanding, and my favorite question to ask is, what can we do? A lot of times people get stuck, in my experience, people get stuck saying, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, right? And we list off all these things that we can't do. Couple things. Generally speaking, that's based on a bunch of assumptions that need to be challenged, right? And so I think you can always challenge each of those things that you say you can't do. What makes this impossible to do? What makes it so we cannot do this, right? That's a very good question to ask, to challenge these beliefs that says we cannot do them. Oftentimes, I think we just say it because it might take a little bit of extra work. It might take a difficult conversation. It might take stuff that we don't want to do. It might take discomfort in order to accomplish it, right? But it's totally possible. Impossible is outside, I would say, probably most of the problems that you're going to attempt to solve in your life. They are possible to solve. If you believe them impossible, they will be impossible. So understanding that resourcefulness, what can I do? Start listing possible ideas without constraints. And then understand, what am I going to need to do to put these things into place? Right? So starting with what can I do to start to create all these lists of ideas. Is I could do this or I could do that. So fortunately, I think in my experience problem solving, which with an engineering background and ultimately going into operations and experience in quality, experience in personal development, right? Always challenging myself to solve the problems that I see present and to become a better version of myself. I believe that I've developed a high level of resourcefulness. I think some people would say, I think outside the box. I tend to think that I'm terribly not creative. I lack creativity, but I can come up with very clever solutions. And the reason that I can do that is not because of creativity. It's because I don't have closed-mindedness. I'm open-minded to the possibilities that we can pursue, to the possibilities that I can pursue. And instead of saying no all the time, exactly like the video last night where I discussed, talk about what if. Like, what if it goes right? What if this works? Like, try it out and see. If it doesn't, we can always change. Be flexible. Be relentless and be resilient and be resourceful. Don't get stuck just because one little challenge presents itself. Withstand the difficult condition and come up with some solutions. Put them in place. Get around it, get through it, get over it. Whatever it might be, I believe that developing these 3 R's makes you a very robust person. The 3 R's equal the big R, okay? So just a couple ideas that some of my favorite characteristics that I like to see in other people and I like to cultivate and develop in myself is that ability where I'm going after it every day. And if difficult condition arises, I'm there. I'm staying as positive as I can. Sometimes I slip up on that for sure, but I'm getting through it. And lastly, resourcefulness. I'm coming up with all sorts of solutions to get around, through, over the problem. I have not met a problem that could not be solved, provided I was willing to go through the discomfort of solving it. So, I appreciate you guys very much. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Have a safe night and a good Friday. We will see you tomorrow.